I will never be great at this business while I'm constantly battling back and forth with the negative things that I'm bringing in with the business.
What was going on with you personally during that time? I think that's a key that some people may know, some don't.
Okay. So, when I was doing this, like when I was first starting part-time in it was December of 2017 when I got my license. So I actually came into this business and I brought a lot of baggage with me. So when I first came into the business, I was still struggling really bad, like with my eating disorder. And I remember driving down the road and I remember like having those thoughts back and forth that tells you like, you can't do this. You're not good enough to do this. You're better at doing this. You should just go back to your eating disorder. You should just go back to what you were doing because you're good at that, not this. And I think we all have those thoughts, whether it's a job. Well, you're not good at this. You need to go back to your job. That's what you're good at. Or we all have those thoughts and they're just battles in your head. But I remember driving down the road one day and I was doing that and I was battling back and forth. And I thought to myself, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm constantly arguing back and forth with myself. I'm like, I will never be great at this business while I'm constantly battling back and forth with the negative things that I'm bringing in with the business. Like, in order for me to be great, I have to shut off all of that baggage. I have to shut off all of that negativity to be great into this. So I think that's something that people struggle with a lot. And it might not be an eating disorder. It might not be a drug addiction, but like, what are you telling yourself to hold you back from being great? Because my mind, I will tell you, and that's exactly what I've done, Noelle, because if you see my numbers and you see how crazy I am in this business, think about how crazy I was in my eating disorder, because I have literally shifted every thought, like every negative thought that I would have towards that eating disorder, towards that addiction, into this business. I shut off all of that. So literally, I think about who am I going to talk to? What do they not have? As many times a day as most people get a drink of water.
That's big.
That is big. So here you're full-time. You've still got a lot of mom duties because Elijah is not yet in school full-time.
What was the schedule at that point?
Yeah. Do you remember what your schedule was as you got into 2019?
Yeah. So he started in preschool. So his preschool was literally 2 hours. 3 or 4 days a week, it was 2 hours. So, I mean, I would drive him, drop him off at preschool. If I was to go home, that would have been an extra 20 minutes and then 20 minutes to get back, which would have been 40 minutes. So I would have had like an hour at home. So my thought process was, I have to do an appointment in that 2 hours every day and help that person every day while my son's in preschool. So it was always like, you don't have time. I did not have time. So ever since I started, what can I do in the shortest amount of time that I have to help these people and to make an income for me and my little boy? So it was always a rush, like always like
condensing the time frame, or in other words, working the time that you have in this business. That's what you're doing. You're not doing other things.
Yeah.
Yes. And it would be very stressful because I'd be like, okay, I got 2 hours. I got to go help somebody. And then I got to pick him up.
That was happening. You got your schedule. The one thing I noticed is it seemed like it was that second year where you were doing this is where I noticed you started to pick up other products. And for me, the way I remember is I think I was on an appointment myself and you called me, you said, Mike, how does this critical illness product work?
Yeah.
And I think my response is, I didn't even know we had
We had a critical illness?
Yeah, I was like, I said, sounds like you're the expert.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, and like, because we were talking about my whole start to now thing, and everything is just kind of like, if you work, everything falls into place as long as you keep going and you keep working. And then you look at the past. But my dad, okay, my dad was diagnosed with cancer like 4 or 5 years ago. So that's what got me looking into the critical illness, because he got a check as soon as he was diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, I think I remember seeing on Mutual of Omaha that they do some type of cancer coverage. So I called Mike first and he didn't know. So I called Mutual of Omaha and I'm like, hey, I have my health license. Can I write this? And they're like, yeah, you can write it. So the first step I took, which I still do to this day, is write it on myself first. And that's how I teach myself. And then I literally went back to every single one of my clients and helped them out with the cancer policy. So that's kind of what got me started on learning the different products and knowing that there's so many things that we can do to help people out there.